There are passages in the Bible that seem crafted to mislead the inattentive, yet they unveil profound truths when read with patient eyes. One of those truths is hidden right at the start of Genesis, in the first 2 chapters. For centuries, people have assumed they recount the same creation of the world, but everything changes once you notice they use different names for God, describe different sequences, and depict levels of existence that don't line up. Some call that a contradiction. Others see it as historical evidence. Today, we'll explore something even more unsettling: the possibility that Genesis doesn't tell a single creation story, rather, 2. The first narrative, chapter 1, is clean, ordered, perfect. The second, chapter 2, is intimate, handcrafted, full of fragility and tension. Why 2 accounts? Why 2 names for God? Why 2 methods for bringing humans to life? Everything points toward an extraordinary idea, a creative process divided into 2 planes, 2 phases, 2 realities, or even 2 distinct wills within the same deity. It's no coincidence that ancient sages, Hebrew mystics, philosophers, and writers of forbidden texts saw in these chapters a spiritual map, a reflection of the structure of the cosmos and of human consciousness. The first story uses one name, Elohim, a plural resonant name associated with cosmic grandeur. Elohim creates by proclamation, "Let there be light, and there is light. Let the waters divide, and the waters divide." There is no struggle, no resistance. Creation is pure idea, an immaculate design, the world in its essential form. Then, without a clear transition, a second narrative begins. Here the name changes to YHWH, Elohim, the God who molds with hands, who blows breath into clay, who plants a garden, observes, experiments, decides to make animals only after the man already exists, adjusts, restructures, tries to find the human a companion, and ultimately creates woman in response to a void. This God doesn't create by speaking. He creates by working. No longer an eternal architect drafting the cosmos from afar, he is a craftsman, a designer inside the design. Scholars have offered academic explanations for this difference for centuries, but something deeper is at stake. A separation between 2 dimensions of the divine, the absolute and the manifested. A creation that flows from the infinite, and a creation that descends into the finite. Many mystical Jewish writings teach that God has levels or facets, an infinite, unknowable one from whom expressions closer to the world emerge. These expressions act at different stages of creation. That could explain why Elohim fashions the ideal universe, while YHWH Elohim works on its material expression. Spiritual creation versus physical creation. Eternal versus temporal. Perfect versus vulnerable. There is another more radical view developed in ancient Gnostic schools. The creation of chapter 1 emanates from the highest divine essence, whereas the creation of chapter 2 springs from a lesser emanation, a divine power tasked with shaping the material world with all its imperfections, not in rebellion, but as part of cosmic order, as if the divine must multiply and descend to engage with matter. This notion doesn't divide God in 2. It reveals that creating involves transition, descent, adaptation. Every architect draws a perfect plan, but building it requires dealing with the resistance of matter. Elohim designs the plan, YHWH builds it. Elohim speaks from eternity, YHWH bends over the dust. Elohim brings forth a luminous world. YHWH grapples with daily chaos with clay that refuses to obey, with a human who breathes and dreams yet stumbles, errs, and seeks meaning. Here the story acquires unexpected depth. If the first human was made in the image and likeness of Elohim, we're speaking of an eternal, spiritual, whole being. But the second account describes a being shaped from soil, vulnerable, needing a garden to live, capable of disobedience, feeling fear, desire, guilt, half earth and half breath, half infinite and half bound. The fundamental duality of existence mirrors the duality of creation. That raises an inevitable question. What does it mean to be made in God's image? In the image of the infinite God, or in the image of the God who descends into the world and walks among creatures? Are we a reflection of eternity, of clay, or of both? This tension appears again and again in the Bible. A distant God who holds the universe together, and a near God who calls out, "Where are you?" A God who orders the cosmos, and a God who cares about a solitary man. Two modes of being, two modes of creating, two modes of relating to humanity, yet one purpose, that human consciousness awaken to its divine origin. Many have taken this duality as a conflict. It might be a collaboration, as if divinity works from both ends, from the infinite and from the finite, from the eternal and from the temporal. Creation would not be a single act, but a bridge, a continuous process in which the spiritual manifests in matter and matter strives to return to the spiritual. That perspective leads to a striking point. Humankind is the meeting place of those two realms. We are manifested spirit and matter yearning for transcendence. Children of Elohim in essence, and children of clay in experience. Dual because we were fashioned by two hands, two processes, two dimensions of the divine. This duality explains the contradiction each of us carries, the desire to rise and the impulse to fall, the need to understand and the fear of truth, the capacity to create beauty, and the tendency to destroy what we love. We are not inconsistent. We reflect a creation that was, from the beginning, a crossroads of worlds. But the story doesn't end there. When God breathes life into the man, it's not only to animate him, it's to connect the perfect with the imperfect, the eternal with the temporal, the infinite with the finite. That breath is the rope binding two realities, the bridge that allows a divine spark to awaken inside matter. We are still trying to comprehend that bridge today. The Genesis duality also resonates in our era. We live at a time when humanity is recreating, in its own way, the creative act. We design digital worlds, model life, manipulate DNA, train artificial intelligences that begin to mirror our minds. We are Elohim when we design, and we are YHWH when we build and correct. We are the word that creates and the hands that adjust. The duality of Genesis now lives in us. Perhaps that's why these ancient tales still call to us. They speak not only of the world's origins, they speak of our inner origins. They speak of the struggle between what we are and what we could become, of the divine spark trying to illuminate a clay frame, of an infinite God who creates from above, and a God who works from below, within the dust. And perhaps that is the true secret. There aren't two gods. There are two levels of creation, two faces of the divine, two phases needed for consciousness to exist. Genesis doesn't hide a contradiction. It contains a message. For the eternal to reach earth, it must divide, adapt, descend. And for humanity to return to the divine, it must awaken to its origin, recognize its duality, and finally integrate it. We are children of perfect design and of imperfect clay. We are the bridge between the infinite and the finite. Maybe by embracing this duality, we can better understand not only the Genesis narrative, but the mystery of our own existence.